it's Amanda, and I wanted to come to you briefly on a topic, and that topic is you've been dumped. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Many times in life, if we're not careful, we'll internalize other people's perceptions, other people's opinions, the paradigm by which they're coming from. And when I say you've been dumped because the Lord is not going to let you settle for just being mediocre. The Lord is not going to allow you to get away with what everybody else gets away with. And this doesn't mean that you set yourself upon a pedestal. For humble yourself in the sight of the Lord and He'll lift you up. What this means is you've been dumped. So you thought you were getting over. You try to pursue something that you know the Lord, He didn't have His hand in it. You keep pressing and pressing, and you're waiting for the grace to be there, but the grace wasn't there. Why? Because that's not where God intended you to be. And again, let me give my disclaimer. This message is not for everybody, but this message is definitely for somebody. You've been dumped. You know why you've been dumped? Because if you weren't dumped, you would keep moving in a direction that the Lord never intended for you. If you weren't dumped, you would continue on this path to self-help. You will continue on this path of, I'm going to do it in my own strength. I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to try to maintain this thing despite, all the signs are there, because the Lord said, He gives to wisdom liberally to all men who ask and upbraideth not. You've been dumped. And let me tell you something. I don't know about you, but I've had my heart broken a few times. And it does not feel good when somebody dumps you. When somebody dumps you, people have different ways that they dump you. Someone may just say, don't call me no more. Someone may say, I don't like you. Someone may have a third-party entity deliver the message. But I'm here to let you know that you've been dumped. You've been dumped by living a regular life. You've been dumped by the excuses of your past. You've been dumped by condemnation and shame. And it's time to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and say, you know what, Lord? I'm going to humble myself in your sight. You know what, Lord? I'm going to pray. Let me show you. This may seem a little vulgar, but you know what? For the sake of the illustration, I want to turn your attention to this trash can and to this toilet, because you've been dumped. And it's not until you release the shame of the past that you won't be able to move forward. But you're going to move forward today. You know why? Because you got to accept this phase of being dumped. You got to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to find my breakthrough somewhere, but I'm not going to find it in my old situation. You know why? It's a new day with new mercy. You've been dumped, my friend. You've been dumped. And you know what? It might not be a pretty thing. It might not be an easy thing. It might not be something that feels good in your flesh, but you've been dumped. And now it's time to celebrate. The good thing about being dumped is that there are brighter days to look forward to. The good thing about being dumped is, you know what? The buck doesn't stop here. The good thing about being dumped is, there are more fish in the sea. There's always a promise that the Lord will leave you with. Make a decision to say, despite the fact that I've been dumped, despite the fact that I've been rejected, I've got a God that will love me unconditionally. Humble yourself and understand that the sooner you know you're dumped, that you're not in that situation alone. The sooner that you're dumped, you can move forward and face reality and acknowledge the fact that unless you're whole in who you are in Christ, everything else will fall. Simple as that. No, we're not trying to steal anything from you. I'm letting you know you've been dumped because you have a purpose. And until you let go the filth of your past, until you come to grips that you've been trying to put all your energy and efforts in something that the Lord never intended, even though all the signs were there, because you wanted this thing to work so bad that you weren't willing to humble yourself, that you weren't willing to accept the signs. You've been dumped. And now that you've been dumped, you can acknowledge, okay, Lord, I surrender all. Are you willing to say, I surrender all? Are you willing to write out your vision and make it plain? Are you willing to step outside of your boat? Are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone? Because you've been dumped. And believe me, this is the greatest breakup that you will ever experience, because you are separating from the shame of your past. Be set free on today. Shalom. In that new situation, it's about to open up.